At 2:11 a.m., the room is a diagram of shadows. The fridge hums through the wall. A floorboard breathes, then holds its breath. You pause in bed, eyes open, no movement, no voice, yet something in you whispers, someone's here. Not a scream, a notice. Like a tap on the shoulder from an invisible usher. The usual explanation arrives first. It's just the dark. But that's not quite right. Darkness isn't a force. It's a lack. What changes is you. Your brain switches modes, quietly, automatically, running older software built for nights with teeth in them. There's a principle for this switch, and it's not mystical, it's mathematical. Think about smoke alarms. If you tune them to be cautious, you get false alarms about burnt toast, but you never miss a real fire. Our nervous systems use the same logic. Evolution favors overreact now, apologize later. The cost of a needless spike of fear is tiny compared with the cost of ignoring a rustle that turns out to be a predator. The bias has a name, smoke detector principle, and it makes perfect stubborn sense. It's why your body would rather be embarrassed than extinct. You can watch this bias surface on your first night in a new place. Even asleep, one half of the brain stands guard a little longer, like a sentry refusing to put the spear down. Researchers have recorded an asymmetry in deep sleep. One hemisphere more alert, more likely to wake to odd sounds, only on night one, as if the brain posed a temporary night watch. We don't decide to do this. The vigilance turns itself on, and by the second night, it usually lets go. The effect is small, but it's there, and it hints at a creature that never fully trusts the dark. Now add hearing. When your eyes have less to work with, the ears step forward. In the dark, sounds that grow louder don't just feel louder, they feel closer, faster, more urgent. Approaching noises get priority in the brain. This looming bias speeds up your reaction to things that might be coming at you and slows your dismissal of things moving away. You are wired to flinch toward the future. That's not anxiety, that's survival, tuned over millennia to favor the side of caution. The body confirms it with a primitive meter, the startle reflex. In experiments, people blink harder and startle more in darkness, even to the same sounds. Flip the lights on and the alarm softens. Keep them low, and the alarm stays hair trigger. What light is doing here is more than helping you see. It's persuading the amygdala, the brain's is this trouble, hub, to stand down a little. Light is data, data is safety. Darkness is the opposite. So your biology compensates with extra caution. But the dark doesn't just change the volume of fear, it changes the kind of perception running. Your visual system contains a fast coarse channel that excels at spotting motion and big blurry shapes, the sort of information left after twilight eats the details. It runs through the superior colliculus and the pulvinar to the amygdala, and it's quick. It can flag a threat before your high resolution. Color-loving cortex can finish asking, what exactly am I looking at? Low spatial frequency in, gut feeling out. Useful if the shape is a crouching animal. Troublesome if the shape is a jacket on a chair. Faced with poor visual evidence, the brain leans on priors, its library of expectations. That's predictive processing in a sentence. Perception is a best guess stitched from what's there and what's likely. In bright daylight, the data dominate and your guesses shrink. In the dark, the guess grows teeth. You are quite literally seeing your predictions. And your predictions, if you are alone at 2:11 a.m., are not neutral. They tilt toward agency, toward someone, better an invented watcher than a missed one. Psychologists even have a nickname for this urge, a hyperactive agency detector. Under uncertainty, we infer intent where there may be only wind and plumbing, because in ancestral nights, entities with intent were the ones that could end you. If that sounds bleak, remember the goal wasn't truth, it was safety. The dark makes poor evidence. Your brain supplies a provisional story. Someone's here is a headline with no byline, written by an overcautious editor who has kept your lineage alive. There's another piece. Eyes. Humans are exquisitely tuned to eye contact. Even a painted face with forward-looking eyes can feel like it's tracking you as you move, a quirk sometimes called the Mona Lisa effect. We also show a direct gaze bias. When a face's gaze is ambiguous, we err on they're looking at me. Now dim the lights, blur the edges, and the bias widens. Two dots and a line on a poster become a watcher. A street sign becomes a witness. The cone of what counts as looking at you expands, because the cost of missing direct gaze is social and sometimes physical. In the night, the brain decides it's better to assume you're seen. And faces, we find them everywhere, especially in uncertain scenes. Pareidolia, the tendency to read faces into clouds, curtains, wallpaper, rises when signals are weak and the stakes of missing a face are high. It's childlike and ancient. A smear of headlights on a wall becomes eyebrows. The closet gap becomes a mouth. No conspiracy required. Your pattern detectors would rather make a friend or an enemy out of noise than ignore a person-shaped truth. The dark is generous with silhouettes. Our imagination do the rest. Thread templates add fuel. Certain shapes, curves like coils, angles like fangs, draw faster attention than others. Experiments show people, even young children, spot snakes amid clutter with unusual speed, and parts of the brain that speak to the amygdala seem to prefer those low detail, high significance cues. We carry a library of be careful forms, and the night invites them onto the stage. A coiled garden hose by the fence becomes possibility for half a heartbeat, which is exactly what evolution was buying us. Half a heartbeat more. Sometimes the watcher isn't out there at all. It's misplaced you. Neuroscientists have induced a presence in volunteers, an unmistakable feeling that someone stands just behind using a simple trick, mismatching a person's motion with a touch on their back. The brain, juggling signals from movement and touch, briefly misattributes self as other. In other words, with the right confusion, your own body becomes the stranger in the room. In thick darkness with muffled senses and heightened expectation, smaller mismatches may echo the same illusion. The failed watcher can be a footprint of your own nervous system. And the clock matters. Fear learning and unlearning ride daily rhythms. Studies suggest we recall it's safe now better in the morning than late at night, and dim light itself can keep the amygdala a little more excitable. That doesn't mean night is cursed. It means your biology tilts the table a degree or two after sunset. A bedside lamp isn't just psychological comfort. For the brain's thread circuits, light is medicine, a brief signal that today still exists. So why does it feel like someone's watching? Because in the dark, your perception becomes a negotiation. The world offers crumbs of evidence. Your brain supplies a protective story. Hearing votes for approaching. Vision, hands in sketches, not photographs. Old priors, predators, strangers' eyes get weighted like VIPs. The sentry half of you listens harder. The alarm system dials its threshold down. And when the sum of those whispers crosses a line, you don't get a sentence, you get a sensation, watched. That sensation is not a malfunction. It's a rough, fast, compassionate guess. It kept our kind out of tall grass at night and gave us children who grew old enough to wonder why the night still feels like this. The cost today can be lost sleep and a heart that sprints in place. But the system is also teachable. Give it data, crack the curtain, switch on a warm bulb, narrate the room aloud. Let your ears hear your own voice colonize the shadows. You'll feel the story loosen. The watcher becomes a jacket, the footstep becomes the radiator, the pause becomes space where nothing happens. What if the goal isn't to erase the feeling, but to recognize its shape, to know that inside the fear is a map of what you value? Your safety, your home, the people you defend without thinking. To see that the same brain that dreams monsters also writes lullabies for them, sending their teeth down with light and language until they yawn. Outside the street is the same street. Inside your ancestors' alarms are still faithfully at work. Darkness asks you a question your nervous system is built to answer early and loudly. You can thank it for the warning, then give it better evidence. The room returns to a diagram of shadows. The fridge hums. The floorboard settles. That's all software keeps running. Quiet now but present, like a night watch passing the torch to morning. And in the pause that follows, you realize the most honest part of the feeling was never someone's here. It was I am.